Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to give a little hopium, a little copium, and a little bit of reality into the exaggerated opinions off of 3 games of World's 2022 group stage. A lot of people are flying high and a lot of people are in the dirt, and it's a matter of trying to make sense of it all. So I'm going to try and make sense of it all. I'm not an analyst. I am a fan like anybody else. I feel like that is a misconception made by clowns. But nevertheless, down in the description, you see 3 links: Twitter, Discord, and YouTube membership. Twitter, follow me there. Self-explanatory. Share my videos if you'd like it. If you'd like to, and if you like the video. Discord, join us. We BS about the game, argue about things. Today we were talking about LCS Player Union, a couple other things in there, so that's cool. Lastly, YouTube membership, $3 supports me, keeps the channel alive. $10 would support me even more, and then you get extra content. That's obviously monthly, $3 a month, $10 a month. You get extra content, including NFL, American football content. There's a couple videos a week when the season's going on, and extra league content, including all my videos. I apologize, I'm all over the place. I don't edit my content though, so I'm not going to edit that crap out. So how do we want to do this? Well, I'm going to go by group, and clearly you see here contenders, pretenders, and never wases. Obviously, never wases is not really a grammatically correct term, but I think we get the point. So Group A, we'll start with Group A. So all along, and you can go back in time, especially with C9 specifically, I've went into this tournament thinking of growth and growth alone. Going 0-6 was always a possibility, and unfortunately for them, that is what it is. Growth for North America is important and on a bigger scale, but C9 never were a contender, and frankly, were never pretenders. They were just never wases. So C9 never wases, right? Unfortunately, Berserker is kind of like soft inting his way through the tournament, which is fine. I can understand why he's upset. Fudge's picks are kind of sus. I will say the Champions Queue stuff's probably a good argument to make towards him. I mean, like, why aren't you playing with everybody else? Clearly what you're doing is not getting you the practice to succeed at the highest level, so you need to change your practice habits. Now, I would have had Fnatic and never wases to begin with, because I never thought for a day that they were going to win Worlds. I don't think anybody that is, sane has Fnatic as a contender for the championship going into Worlds. Now, except them themselves. I mean, they have to think that way, but outside of that, not anybody else. So right now, some people probably think that they're contenders. So frankly, I'm going to put them as pretenders, because I don't think that they're going to win Worlds. I don't think at all that that's going to happen. Humanoid's playing very well. That's not to be argued. Obviously, he's played very good on the Azir and the Akali, but he is not, in a best of 5, I do not take Humanoid over everybody except Larson, obviously. So, because Rogue probably going to get out. So, if they get out for some reason, best of 5, they'll be playing an Eastern team, and frankly, I wouldn't put money on it, and I think people can say what they want, but I doubt they'd put money on Fnatic. So, Fnatic are a pretender. Then we get to T1 and EDG. So, T1, I think, are contenders. I think they are contenders to win the thing. I think that they have the capability of winning best of 5s. Mind you, this is not going to be in any order of, like, T1 is not who I think is, like, the best team. But I think that there is a world where T1 can win the tournament. Topside meta, if Zeus can really get online. We saw his Fiora game. It was nasty. if we can really get going, T1 can be a scary, scary team. I think through top and bot they can win. Whereas Fnatic, they very, very champion oriented. If you can ban Maokai, Azir, and Sylas, put Humanoid on Akali, and then he can coin flip and see if he wins or not. I don't have Upset. I don't think Upset's going to be beating many Eastern AD carries in a best of 5. So Fnatic and T1 are different. EDG, I also have as a contender. I think EDG have been here. They've done it. That's important. That matters, especially recently. It's not like I know Impact won in 2013, 2014, whenever the hell he won. That's not as relevant as somebody that won last year. And I think that although Scout has not performed quite up to what we would like, EDG still are a threat. I think Viper and Mako's played a very good tournament so far in the first 3 games. Really hyped about his Thresh. And that in itself makes them a real threat, where I think Fnatic in a best of 5 don't quite offer as much as EDG. And people are going to say, wow, you did the obvious picks. Like, who the hell doesn't think this sort of stuff? Well, that's not what the point of this is. I'm not gonna make a video and lie about how I feel about these teams. I mean, this is how I feel, right? So never was is for Group B. EG, obviously a never was. G2 are never was. So, I don't think anybody thought EG or G2 were going to win this tournament going into it, and I don't think anybody thinks that right now. Do some people probably think G2 has the capability to get out? Sure. I don't think that they have given us a reason to believe that they'll win Worlds, though. EG, obviously, going into this, it was all about growth. JoJo has shown growth in laning, but Vulcan has not shown any growth at all. Actually, he's probably taken a step back, and it's really, really hurt the team a lot. It's a tough thing seeing Kaori in there, or I keep saying Kaori in there instead of Danny, because can't see Danny's growth as an 18-year-old from one tournament to the next. So EG were always destined to be bottom of that group, so this is not a shock. I don't know why everybody thinks it's a shock or it's funny. It's like it was who the majority of people had them 06. So the fact that they might go 06 is just like, wow, okay, well, expected result. So that's where that is right now. Now this is where things get tough with JDG and Damwon. So one second. The cat in the background just had to kind of push her off the chair. So we got Damwon and JDG, right? I'm not even going to edit that out. So DK, what I'm concerned about was that Canyon Maokai game, right? If you cannot play that champion, that's a problem. That's a major problem in this tournament. That champ is for real. That's, I would say, the best. It's really, so we saw a little bit of Yuumi again, and Yuumi is as disgusting as anticipated. It doesn't make any sense why we didn't have it being played in play-ins. It doesn't make any sense at all. So Yuumi's still disgusting. So you have Aatrox, Maokai, Azir, Yuumi. Some people would say Sivir. I don't really say Sivir. I propose the thought of maybe if somebody first picks Yuumi, to pick Sivir yourself and force them into a Twitch Yuumi, Zeri Yuumi, Nyla Yuumi situation, and maybe that goes better for teams than just giving Sivir Yuumi and playing something into it, because right now that's not working. But because Damwon, through 3 games, have shown us that they can't play the Maokai, they're a pretender. I think if you can't play that champ, that's going to be a problem. That is a problem. So, Damwon, pretenders. because of that reason and that reason alone, pretty much. Now, can they figure it out? Yes, that's what this is exaggerated and hyperbole, just like everyone else's take after 3 games. I mean, it is what it is. Most of us are just coming up with crap after 3 games and think that it's the end of the world, Like, that's the end-all, be-all. These 3 games determined everything. Now, JDG are a lot tougher because in thinking all 3 games, JDG have shown that they are inting the mid-game at times to give the other team an opportunity to stay in a game. And as well, they're showing the ability, which they showed in LPL playoffs, to win games in the very, very late game and show the ability to find a way to win, if that makes sense. When you have a team that can find a way to win when really a win doesn't look possible, or in a series, find a way to win a series when really it's like, oh, well, their backs are against the wall. Are they going to win this series? It's like, that's a trait that really will bode well for them in this tournament, that they can be like, okay, we're facing some adversity even in a singular game, but we can overcome it in this game. We can make things happen. We're not going to tilt. And I think that's huge. So honestly, they've went from a team that I thought, and even I gave this more thoughts last night. So even in the game yesterday or the day before, whenever yesterday, I was like, they keep inting games. This is sus. This is not a good thing to do. But at the same time, this is preparing them for tougher games going forward. So contender, JDG. Which so far this is very predictable, right? So, but I mean, I'm giving my reason for why it's predictable. Now with Group C, sorry, GAM Esports, you were never, ever going to have a shot at this. And DRX, we're never going to win this. DRX were never going to win, right? Kingin in top lane, their jungle situation. I mean, we've harped on it all along. The group of life is Group C. That's why the next team is going to be where they... Well, one second. We're going to go with top first. Top are a pretender. Losing to DRX is pretty bad. And I still believe that top is going to get out of this group without a doubt. I mean... they will really have to screw up to not get out. But at the same time, I guess it isn't without a doubt. I mean, if King Tian gets in and King Tian doesn't show up either, and Wayward and King Tian are just inting their faces off, does DRX move on? I think either way, DRX does not have... Never were they going to be the team that was going to win Worlds. And for going into it, I consider top to be the second best team in the world, third best team in the world. For a long time, actually. And they've been the LPL team that flopped. So, I mean, I guess they could not get out. Yeah, I worked through that in my head there and I guess changed my opinion. So, it's just Knight is not showing the ability to 1v9 for this team. And Jackie Love is inting his face off. Which is a thing, but players int their faces off. You can't just say after 3 games, oh, somebody inted, and then not look back at like their last 60 games and whatever. Another pretender is Rogue. Rogue were in the never was as well as Fnatic, but now that they're 3-0, some people think that they're a contender. They are not a contender. I will say that they've been better than expected. That is without a doubt. I think anybody but Rogue fans really are probably shocked that Rogue beat top. Unless people, I doubt many bets were put on Rogue over top going into the event. Maybe going into yesterday they had it because after 2-0 they wanted, they would make their case. But going into the event, I think everybody thought, Rogue were not going to be 3-0 after going against DRX and top. Like, I'm assuming most people would have thought 1-1 or even 0-2. And Odo's playing great on the Maokai. He is. Malrung's playing good on champions other than J4. He played a very good Lee Sin game. Can't take that away from him. That's a matter of fact. He played a good Lee Sin game. Don't give him the J4. I don't know why teams decide to do that in the other contest, but so be it. Comp and Trimby are playing well. Trimby dropping the ego, playing the Soraka again. He is an X factor in bot lane. He is willing to do things that other supports just don't do. And because of that, it's helping the bot lane. Comp's playing well. Larson I had as my number one LEC mid laner, so his success is not a surprise. He's a very good laner, very solid. So, I mean, but in the end, in a best of 5, I am taking the Eastern teams over Rogue. I mean, I'm taking these 3 over Rogue. So that's that. I don't care if you're the first seed, second seed, third seed. I don't care. I mean, I don't have them at that level. Group D. Well, I was going to do CFO first, but that's not the case. 100 Thieves. 100T. Suck. Going into the tournament, I said they sucked. I've said since the beginning that if they were the 2-3 seed and not EG, they would have been out in play-ins, and I do believe that wholeheartedly. They would be out in play-ins. So to see them struggling is no shock. I don't even think I need to explain why I think they were never was, because I mean there never was. They are the epitome of never was. CFO, another never was. I will say I am disappointed with CFO. Beyond just the fact... One second. I couldn't stand that scratch anymore. CFO. Flying Oyster. Flying Family. PCS has disappointed me. BYG absolutely sucked in play-ins. CFO getting a win over 100 Thieves was a pleasant surprise. But at the same time, I don't think that they've been very, very, very competitive. It was nice how they extended that game against Gen G yesterday, but it's not the PSG of old. This is not the PCS of old, so that's a little disappointing. Otherwise, CFO is kind of just like, I didn't expect much out of them, and I'm not getting much out of them, so that is what it is. Lastly, Gen G I still consider a contender. I will say that out of all the teams I have as contenders, they are the team that confuses me most. And by that I mean these compositions in these bot lanes that they keep putting out there are really sus. Like, what the heck are they doing down there? Like, they're trying all this stuff out, and I mean, going into the final day, maybe they'll just 3-0 and they'll, straighten out their problems. And that's why I still consider them a contender. They have too good of players to not be contenders. They're going to get out, and in a best of 5, they may just hands diff whoever they have to hands diff. If they get Fnatic or Rogue, I am going to bet on Gen G to hands diff the heck out of them. It's just how it is. It's just these team comps are really sus, and I think they're just trying to screw around with stuff and play glorified scrims. Now, I will say it is a concern that they're ending games quicker, but they're playing comps they don't normally play. So that is what that is. And then RNG, I think RNG are... RNG right now are playing like the best team in the tournament. Oh, a hot take. Not really. Everybody thinks that. Well, it's true. It's not about spicy hot takes. The facts are the facts. RNG look very, very good. This K-Saw meta, if it comes into play, Gala is going to be disgusting. Xiaohu's playing the Lissandra. His Lissandra is nasty. We saw it at MSI. We've seen it historically. And the Lissandra is solid into the Azir thus far. So, they have the Lissandra. They have that. They can play Wei on Graves or Viego. And top lane, Breathe can play Jax or Fiora or Aatrox or Ornn or Gragas or whatever. And they are solid. RNG right now look like the best team. It's only been 3 games. It's only been 3 games. So what does this all mean? Nothing, really. It means nothing. Which is what all these hot takes really are nothing. Because, like, these teams have a couple days here where they're going to figure out in scrims. If the teams that aren't doing well are going to try and figure out, what do we do today and tomorrow to alter this team to get better, to play all their games in one day, which is going to be different too. These teams aren't going to play one game and be done. They're going to play 3 games in a day. If that first game goes poorly, that may affect that team the whole rest of the day. If one team does well, surprisingly, at the beginning of the day in their first game, they may ride that confidence throughout the day. I think that's very feasible as an outcome. So to base anything really off of 3 games is pretty silly, but we got to be hyperbolic here and give a, contenders, pretenders, or never was's, because that's what everybody feels like they want to do right now. So that's it. Comment down below with your opinions. Like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, become a member of the Discord, support me, $3, $10 a month. I'd really appreciate it. Keeping the channel alive. We are, cruising along here. Yeah, so thanks for watching.